U.S. tech giants struggle as Trump's tariff war escalates with EU and China. The escalating trade war between the U.S., European Union, EU, and China has taken a significant toll on major American technology firms, exposing them to higher tariffs, stringent regulations, and disrupted supply chains. As the battle over market dominance and national security concerns intensifies, companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Meta are facing unprecedented challenges in their global operations. U.S. President Donald Trump has vowed to retaliate against what he describes as unfair trade practices by both the EU and China. His administration has already proposed tariffs of up to 60% on Chinese goods, including semiconductors and AI components, key areas that NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD rely on for manufacturing. Similarly, Trump has targeted the EU for its Digital Markets Act, DMA, and AI regulations, which impose heavy restrictions on U.S. tech firms, forcing them to open up their platforms, change business models, and face heavy fines for non-compliance. The EU crackdown on U.S. tech giants. The European Commission has been increasingly aggressive in its regulatory approach. Google and Meta are under scrutiny for alleged monopolistic practices and data privacy violations. Apple faces a multi-billion-dollar fine for its App Store policies. Amazon is forced to change its marketplace practices to comply with EU antitrust regulations. Microsoft's cloud business is being investigated for unfair bundling practices in the European market. With strict new rules under the Digital Services Act, DSA, and AI Act, American companies are struggling to comply while European firms get more leeway to grow in the region. China's retaliation, a nightmare for U.S. supply chains. China, in response to U.S. trade restrictions, has imposed its own export controls on critical materials like gallium and germanium, essential for semiconductor production. This move severely impacts U.S. chipmakers, including Qualcomm and Broadcom, who rely on Chinese manufacturers for key components. Additionally, China has been promoting domestic alternatives, pushing companies like Huawei and ByteDance to replace American technology with local innovations, effectively locking out U.S. firms from one of the world's largest consumer markets. The ripple effect on U.S. businesses. Apple's iPhone sales have plummeted in China, losing market share to Huawei's Mate 60 series, which runs on China's own advanced chips. NVIDIA's AI chip exports to China are now restricted, jeopardizing billions in potential revenue. Tesla faces increasing competition from Chinese EV brands like BYD, which are benefiting from state subsidies. In contrast, European and Chinese tech firms are thriving amid these disputes, capitalizing on the regulatory advantages and market shifts that are working against U.S. companies. The road ahead, a no-win scenario? With Trump's possible return to power in 2025, analysts predict an even harsher trade war with China and further tensions with the EU. If new tariffs and regulations continue to escalate, U.S. tech firms could face higher costs due to tariffs on imported components, declining global market share as foreign competitors gain ground, tighter regulations that restrict their business models in key international markets. In a bid to mitigate risks, companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google are actively exploring new supply chain strategies, including moving chip manufacturing to India and Vietnam. However, these shifts come with their own set of challenges and higher production costs. The ongoing trade tensions between the U.S., EU, and China have put American tech companies in a difficult position, forcing them to navigate political, economic, and regulatory uncertainties. As the world moves towards AI-driven technologies, cloud computing dominance, and digital transformation, the next few years will be crucial in determining whether U.S. tech giants can maintain their global leadership or if they will be overtaken by rising competitors in Asia and Europe.